Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I didn't have my glasses on. I want to have them off for like 2 seconds.
No worries. Okay, we're going to pause for a second so it's easy for me to edit this part out and then go.
So where are we picking up from?
From the very beginning.
Okay.
It'll be
All
easier because trying to edit,
Yes.
splice
Oh,
them
yes.
together. I'm
Yes.
not that good at this stuff. I'm only kind of good at it. So, all right. Welcome to another state video by the Academy of Adoption and Assisted Reproduction Attorneys. Today we bring you the state of Montana and our only sole art fellow, Susan Ridgway in Montana. But you are in good hands and you should be excited to learn about Montana with her. Susan, tell us about yourself and your work in Montana.
Well, thanks, Kim. Greetings from Montana, the big sky country. I'm Susan Ridgway. I practice out of Missoula, Montana. I'm with the Holland Evans firm. And Montana is a great place for surrogacy and reproductive donation. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, I've practiced law for a while, over 25 years, with a wide range of experience. Right now, my practice is mostly focuses on surrogacy and reproductive donation law, as well as civil litigation. And for the past 13 years, I've represented intended parents, surrogates, sperm, egg, and embryo donors, and also recipients. And sometimes I represent clinics or cryobanks as well.
Great. So tell us about Montana. Is there a solid set of statutes? What are you going off of for this area of work?
Montana has almost no statutory law regulating surrogacy or reproductive donation. The good thing about that is Montana's friendly to surrogacy and reproductive donation. And since we have no laws against any type of assisted reproductive arrangement, that makes it possible to obtain an uncontested court order for pretty much any type of arrangement. So that would include single intended parents with no biological connection, unmarried intended parents, and intended parents in arrangement with a genetic or traditional surrogate.
So intended parents or recipients that are listening, should they be scared with the lack of law, or is there a healthy amount of scared to be?
Well, being careful is always healthy, but I think where your arrangement is uncontested, then I think the risks are pretty minimal. It's really an issue of whether a judge is going to require you to follow a different procedure. But there are some additional risks if at least one of the intended parents is not genetically related to the child, or if the intended parent who lacks a biological relationship to the child is not married to a parent who does have a biological relationship.
Okay, any other warnings for people or information that you think is valuable for them to know about Montana?
Well, I think it's always good to call someone who's competent in this area of practice before you start making a plan for Montana. And when I'm working with my art fellows, that always happens. But that's just important to keep in mind because the law is always changing, and things like a department may decide to change its process, or we may have a new judge. Things like that all need to be taken into account.
Okay, always good information. And when you say art fellows, just for those listening, we're talking about, and you can see it says art fellow next to Susan's name, but again, those are fellows with the Academy of Adoption and Assisted Reproduction Technology.
Yes.
And of course, Susan, you've been vetted. You're one of the absolute go-to people in Montana, and the public should get a hold of you.
Please.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and sorry, go ahead, Kim.
Go ahead. No, go absolutely.
Well, just to say, to my knowledge, there have not been any contested cases in Montana regarding establishment of parentage in a surrogacy or reproductive donation arrangement. And, I believe that's because the attorneys who regularly practice in this area, which is not just me, but all the people who I practice with, the attorneys who are part of the academy, they all adhere to high ethical standards, and they've developed a high level of competency with regard to surrogacy and reproductive donation. And most of the attorneys I've worked with in my past 13 years have been affiliated with the academy.
Wonderful. That's good to hear. So those of you that are listening, if you are looking at the state of Montana, or if you're curious about maybe beginning to look at the state of Montana for your reproductive needs or your surrogacy needs, you can get a hold of Susan. Her contact information is in the directory for the academy, and that can be found at adoptionart.org. My goodness. But you can also just look us up by our name. And thank you for joining us today, Susan. And please, everybody, don't start doing something in Montana without calling Susan first. Thank you.